In this episode, we're showing you what it takes to restore an entire Australian forest following the devastating fires of 2019. And spoiler alert, it requires some of the coolest machines I've ever seen. Welcome to the snowy mountains outside of Canberra, Australia's capital city. As Australia's highest point, this mountain range is home to Australia's forestry industry, which produces the valuable paper, lumber, and other products Australians use daily to live such comfortable lives. No trees, no toilet paper. And no toilet paper, you get the point. This brings me to the stars of today's show, Forestrack. This multi-generational family business has decades of history tending to Australia's forests and bush, and is today one of the country's leading forestry contractors. Their typical work ranges from replanting harvested tracts to fighting fires, and that's today's focus, restoring entire swaths of forest following the devastating 2019 to 2020 bushfires that made headlines worldwide. Not only did they burn tens of millions of acres of native bush, but they also vaporized a large portion of the planted pine in this region, which has no natural defenses. Now, Forestrack serves as the reset button, clearing the burned debris and ripping the earth for forestry crews to replant tens of thousands of trees daily. We'll see every step. But first, we headed to the family farm to catch our ride for the remainder of the day, a means of transportation that could get us into the mountains a little faster than by car. Yep, today we're getting around by helicopter. While seemingly a luxury, such a machine is a necessity with Forestrack's work, as they often have projects spread across 1,000 kilometers. Instead of spending a few hours driving to the site, our flight would only take 45 minutes.
Forestry come out and burn it all, and they organise the plantings as well.
When do they burn typically?
Coming in the winter, is the safest bet.
You take a Dramamine before?
No, I'm sober. How was your journey, Jack?
It was good. No dramas.
No, it's not like the boat the other day.
That was a cakewalk.
Cut to the boat.
And here we can observe Aaron, only days prior, so seasick that he couldn't even swim with the sea turtles. Tragic.
With our quick journey completed, we hopped into the ute with Trent and Brenton to check out their mighty D8s raking the hillside. You may have noticed that these ain't your average D8 dozers. That's because Forestrack makes heavy modifications to each unit, giving them the durability necessary to battle the harsh conditions they work in. Let's jump back to our visit from 2024, where Trent walked through some of the modifications.
So with the widening of the track frames, the purpose of it is a package you can get from Caterpillar itself, but by gaining this extra bit of distance in here, so widening of your equaliser bar, pivot shaft, and then a piece that goes in your final drives, that gives us more stability driving around the side of the actual hill. So it just makes the machine have a better footprint, more stable for the operator, and it doesn't tilt or lean as much, because in some applications when you've got your cut off stumps, they might be a foot tall. So if you're already on a 20-degree slope and you hit that stump, your machine is tilting. So without that widening package, it's just not the most stable machine. But so we've got widening package that's done from Caterpillar, obviously a waste handler package. It's got a HDX undercarriage, so you can see on your rear idler and everything has spaces, so that brings the machine off the ground another bit further. So clearance wise, that's really handy for what we do. These are striker bars from Caterpillar. The purpose of these is if you're working in a harvested plantation, you have offcuts of timber from a pine processor, and they will actually carry on your track plates up. So that's to stop those pieces of timber from carrying on your track plates up under the machine and denting any of your guards or actually getting jammed in there. Around the back of it, just all our guarding. So with our rippers, this is obviously a widened toolbar. This one's set at 3.3, so twin tine ripping. Down here on the ripper tine itself, this is an interchangeable part that we do ourselves, so we call it a wing. And the purpose is pulling through the ground rather than just having your shank straight up and down. You now have a piece of steel dragging through the ground that way, and it fractures the ground sideways. Therefore, when the tree's planted, it can actually grow into the ground and you get a better root base. So that way, when you get a windstorm or something, they're more stable in the ground themselves. Along the back here too, all these plates and the guard there around where your hose obviously go into your valve bank. That's all something we've produced.
And then you put the entire structure around the cab.
Yeah, so the top part of that is actually the CAT forestry package that they supply for the DAT, which is your front ram protection there and your roof. We put the steel roof on, obviously with a bit plazzed out for exhaust, and then fully manufacture all these side guards, which the purpose of is the FOPS, so Forestry Operator Protection System, and that is just to protect that operator from any sticks, timber, or anything like that that might breach that cab and actually put your operator in danger. So all this is 8mm steel, and it's just been plasma cut out in that mesh configuration to suit. So your windows are a Lexan, so that's something we've had to manufacture ourselves purely before, just to stop sticks from getting into the cab. So it just pull the normal glass out, put this Lexan in there, and because this is the only area into the cab that is not protected by a mesh. The reason it's not is because you can't see out of the mesh too well. It works like on the operator looking through it all day, it'll actually make you sick. So we've found, just talking through our guys and what suits them best, we've just gone to a Lexan, which is just as strong as these other things here and does the job. So secondary engine doors, we manufacture all this ourselves. This is just to protect the engine. Since Caterpillar's gone to their emissions standard, there's a lot more under the bonnet that could be damaged by a stick. So we made 8mm steel plazzed out and rolled doors, purely just if a stick hits this area, it's just going to run along it, or the operator's got time to actually stop before that stick makes it into the engine compartment. And that's your secondary engine door. And same thing up here, this guard is purely just to protect your top hat, which is obviously your air intake, and other stuff here, just in case any stick does make it up here, all that stuff is also protected before any damage can come to it. On the front of it...
Is this the blade you get from Caterpillar?
Yeah, this is the blade, not the tree pusher. Yeah. That's all homemade.
Yeah, and so then you make this.
Yep, that's right. So yeah, standard Caterpillar blade is what we start with. And then we move into manufacturing this in-house, which is just a tree spear. So this is just used for your bigger trees that you couldn't rotate your blade up and actually engage and push over, because as you push a tree over, the root ball rolls under your blade, therefore jacking the front of the machine up. So the purpose of a tree spear, especially in Australia, you see them built like this a lot, is to actually engage the tree at a higher height. So you'll push a bank up to the tree, and then you'll put your blade up in the air, and you're hitting the tree maybe 3 meters off the ground. And that way, when the tree actually starts to fall, you've got time to reverse away. That root ball clears the front of the machine, and then you don't have that incident where it picks the front of the machine up with it. And then on the side here too, we've got our stick rake system. These are D8 trunnion balls, so exactly the same as what you'd see with your push arm joins, and these are just welded into the normal cut, I suppose you call it, lift point in the blade. And the purpose of that is when we walk into our stick rakes, that just caps a trunnion ball, put a trunnion ball cap on it, inch rattle gun, tighten them up, 4 bolts, across the whole blade and then straight to work. And if you need to pull it off, same thing, just undo your 4 bolts, caps off, walk straight out of the stick rake, and you're back to having a normal blade.
There you have it.
While the boys prepped for this afternoon's special event, we drove 45 minutes to another site to visit another of Forestrack's special machines.
So for the fine folks at home, that is a tree delete machine.
Pretty much.
Deleting a lot of trees here.
So what we got is a Cat 538 with an FAE mulcher head. What we're doing along this section here is, to our right is a hardwood boundary. So this is all native retention area where all the animals, all that fun stuff lives. To our left, this is our pine plantation. So as you can see on our track here, we sort of don't have a buffer. If we get any fire activity here to our right, there's no way we could safely get down here and sort of defend our pine asset to the left. So what we're doing is we're going along, we're taking a 20-metre strip on our pine side and we're just mulching that back. The purpose being, if we get a fire here, it gives crews a bit of safety, so to speak. We could drive down here, backburn off this edge to try and stop the fire before it gets into our pine, and it just gives us that nice buffer line all the way around our boundary. So, yeah.
So this is a giant fire break, essentially.
Pretty well. So this will run around the circumference of the plantation, just giving us that nice mitigation if we do get any fire activity. Okay. So we want to preserve any of that pine. This stuff here is probably only 5 years old and it was previously fire affected. So this is just works to make sure if that fire event does occur again, we've got something in place that we can sort of go, look, here's our line, we'll defend off this, and this is where we're going to try and stop that.
How much can that machine clear in a given day?
Depending, in this sort of going, we're probably looking at about 1 kilometre, at about 20 metres wide up on top of the hill. So, and it can clear slopes. The reason we're using the excavator base, not your typical track-based mulching machine, as you see, we're working on a bit of a slope here. With the track-based machines, you can't mulch right down next to your road. So here we can get into those little nooks and crannies along that steeper country. If there's a bit of rock, we don't have to drive right down on it. We can sort of work around it. It's just much safer for what we're looking at here in the mountains.
It works like a charm. He's moving right along.
It's a good bit of gear.
That's probably a pretty fun job.
The boys seem to love it. It's sort of a bit of a treat. They get off the dozers or some of the shovels in the steeper country and throw them on the mulcher there for a bit, and yeah, all smiles around. Because
you're not really getting beat up. You're moving pretty slow, tracking wise. Like with the dozer,
Correct.
you're just back and forth all day.
That's right.
Whereas this, you're nice and comfy.
No, you're stationary while that machine's doing the mulching, and then you sort of only got that tracking distance. It might be your boom length, so probably 8 metres up to the next face, and then just work through that.
After watching the machine chew through trees to expand this fire break, I had to ask for a go. Thankfully, they granted my wish.
Am I allowed to try it?
Yeah, you can have a go. Yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get the radio and...
I would love to disassemble a tree.
Righto.
If he could find a good one for me.
Yep. You got a copy, Dan?
Nice.
Just, if you just stall that mulcher out, mate, we'll just walk up to you. These fellas might just jump in the cab, and if there's a bit of a tree there they can have a go at, we'll give them a bit of a crack for a sec.
Let's give it a try. Hey there. These cabs are huge.
Well, I'm 6'4" and I can stand up in there at the front and not hit my head.
It's crazy how much more spacious they are. Okay.
See how he goes, eh?
Yep. Okay, I am now in here. So let's see how this goes.
Not quite as fast.
A bit more training to go yet. Let's see how he goes.
There you go.
Okay, we just gave some trees a massage. I am slowing down the rotor. The control just hit this button right here. Runs like an excavator otherwise. Slowing that down though. Boy, how about that? That was a treat. Now that we had disassembled a few trees, we hopped back into the ute for the journey to our first site, where lunch on the back of the Land Cruiser awaited us. Let's get to the main event of our visit, chain clearing. In short, this is a land clearing method involving a giant chain and 2 dozers. Since this area has grown many unwanted trees over the past few years, similar to weeds in a garden, chain clearing is the most effective way to knock them down before the raking we saw earlier. Chain clearing. Can you explain what the heck's going on here?
So what we've got here is we've got 2 Caterpillar D8s, and we've got a length roughly 400 foot of boat anchor chain. So each link is around that big, weighs sort of 60 kilos. What the boys are doing here now...
Each link is 60 kilos?
Each link is 60 kilos. So
My boot for scale. Shout out to Ariat, channel sponsor. Thank you, Ariat.
So quite heavy, but for
Yeah.
what we're doing, it needs to be that. So what we're currently doing is this area was burnt over in a bushfire. As you can see by all these black dead spars. To go in here and clear this, if we didn't chain it, you're just driving into a jungle.
Yeah.
You and me couldn't see each other. There's a lot of hazards there. So what we do is we push tracks through and then we hook up to this chain. We then drive across the hill on contour with this chain. The arc of the chain pulls all that sort of regen, all those burnt hazardous trees, pulls them over on contour on the hill. Reason being then, it's all flat. We can see each other, we can see where we're going. Then what we're going to do is we come through with stick rakes, like we've got down below us here, and this is the windrowing. So it's all stacked on contour. So moving on from our chaining, we've got all that lumber laying on the ground, on contour. The dozer comes down the hill that way, pushes into all our windrows. Moving on from this will then be ripped. So we're going to rip it at a 3.6 metre spacing, and then we're going to plant trees in it.
So the goal, this is the first step of the process, the chaining.
Correct.
To lay everything down. And then you rake it into nice piles.
Yep.
Which is burned.
Correct.
To get rid of it.
Yep.
And then you rip it to prepare it for planting. You plant it. Trees grow here for the next 25 years.
Yeah, and that's what gives you 25 years. So you might get a thinnings process out of that, and the end goal is that sawlog age tree. And that's all your housing, timber, stuff like that really we need to build our houses, but it's renewable and it's constantly regenerating. So it's basically just a big cycle. We go from harvest, prep, plant, grow. Yeah. And we just run in this constant rotation, and that's what gives Australia its timber.
But here, fire got in the way in what, 2019?
2019, 2020. So this was actually the Duns Road bushfire, which was pretty detrimental to the forestry industry here around the Snowy Mountains. So it started to the west of where we are now, and it carried through to the east across till it hit the Kosciuszko National Park on the other side of Blowering Dam.
Okay.
So pine as a softwood in Australia, it can't handle heat. Yeah. So what we've done here is it's come through, and as you can see below us, it's killed all these larger, where we're nearly at a product that we would cut down and send to a sawmill. That's all now dead. So we've basically got to restart, and that's where the clearing aspect comes into it, is none of this product is usable. The native animals don't like living in it. There's really no gain by leaving it, so you've just got to wipe that canvas and start again.
So you're pressing the reset button essentially.
Pretty much, yeah.
You wouldn't be chain clearing on an area that's healthy and has already been cut.
Nah, because you'd just be costing yourself money.
Yeah.
So it's just a tool used for stuff to clear it, just so it can be brought back to something that can be managed.
And they use it to manage land further north as well.
Correct.
Or create paddock space, whatever it is, just to manage all the growth that accumulates.
Yeah, so you got, with chaining, what we're doing here now is obviously the forestry aspect of it, but there is an agricultural aspect as well. So farmers up north or west, as you're saying, sort of in that central Queensland area, they've got massive paddocks. There might be 10,000 acres at a time. You can't get over that and look at every little weed that's growing. So you get those weeds start to grow. The most cost-effective way to do that is the same as what we're doing here now. Drag that chain over it, then they'll either stick rake it like we've done here, or they'll blade plough it, and that just gets them roll the grass seed back out, gives you that green grassland for your cattle, and just makes the country usable.
Nice. It's a lot of fun to see. This is the first time I've seen it. So,
well,
we haven't.
Australia.
Yeah, we saw it with the drone. We haven't quite seen it yet because it's so dense here. But you said they'll get close to us eventually.
Yeah, we'll swing them.
We certainly hear them. You can hear the crunching.
The crunching of that burnt timber.
Yeah, that's a good sound.
Well, that was it for this year's visit. There's still one more step in preparing this land for replanting, ripping. Let's return to last year's visit to show you how they use the same D8 dozers to rip the earth, clearing the way for the new little seedlings to grow big and strong.
We now have our blank canvas free of all the burned trees. Now we need to prepare it for planting. That's when the D8 dozer that's coming up here behind me comes into play. He has 2 ripper shanks on the back of that dozer, ripping an average every 3.6 meters all the way down this slope, following the contouring of the ground. In a few months, it's April right now, in about June, July in the summer, they will every 3 meters come in here and plant a tree for an average of 1,250 trees per hectare. And then over the course of the next 10-15 years, they'll let it grow, they'll come in and thin it, and then they'll eventually log it in a few decades for those critical paper and forestry products. So that's what's going on. The ripping is very important because it helps with the water. It allows the water to get into the ground for those trees to grow big and strong.
Everything we've seen until this point is equivalent to the forestry reset button. With the land ready for planting, what fancy machine do they use for the seedlings? This step is a bit more old-fashioned.
You said planting season just wrapped up?
Yep, so planting season is from end of June through to, what are we now? Start of September. Yeah. So sort of in those colder months, we've got a lot of rainfall, a lot of moisture in the ground.
And there'll be a crew that will go out with a bunch of these.
Correct.
Will they have them in like a bag?
Yeah, so they usually have 2 satchels. They hang one of those. I think there's 20 trees per tray. Have that there. They might have 2, 3 each side, and they have a little shovel. And they just walk along the dozer rip lines. And as they say, 1, 2, 3, plant a tree. So 3 steps in the ground, 1, 2, 3, plant a tree.
Really?
So yeah, it's all human labour. None of it's mechanical on that side of things. It's the only part that's done with a labour force, and that's been the best way to do it. So.
And they'll plant.
Some planting crews will do 35 to 40,000 seedlings a day if they're a big crew.
35 to 40,000 a day.
Yeah, they get over some ground. So,
holy smokes! Wow. And then these take about 20 to 25 years to grow up.
Yeah, so depending on what sort of end product you're looking for, if you're just looking for that sort of pulp, which you're going to make your cardboard, stuff like that out of, that's about your 17-year mark. If you want your saw log, that's beyond your 25, can be up to 40 years, depending on where you are growing that tree and what product you're chasing.
And these little guys are designed to grow in this environment?
Yeah, so that's a genetically modified pine tree for Australian forestry basically, and they call that radiata pine. So that's all grown locally here in the Blowering nursery, and then they prepare that for the planting season, then all they get shipped out to our planting contractors, and then they put all the trees in the ground, and the cycle starts again.
And your job is just to get it to planting stage?
Correct, so Forestrack will do anything from harvest all the way through until it's ready for someone to walk along and plant a tree.
And they plant it where you've ripped so the roots can get down into the ground?
Correct, so that was last time you're here, we're looking at, when we're ripping, we've got that conventional cap ripper tine they supply for the D8, and we've got that cross welded on it. That's just so when those trees are planted in rip lines, the roots aren't just going long ways across the rip, they're also splaying out into the ground that way. Just gives you a lot stronger root base and to get that nutrients out of the ground and alleviates wind blow.
Okay. Oh, I see. So all over.
Yeah.
I guess with that, back to the helicopter.
Back to the other side of the mountains.
And that, in only a few easy steps, is how you reset an entire forest. Got it?